Welcome back to my channel Iraqi Dinar News Update. Trump's tax hits Iraq's economy hard. 3 urgently needed courses OF action. International economics professor Nawar al-Saudi explained on Wednesday that the tariffs imposed by US President Donald Trump on Iraq will have a compounding impact on the domestic economy. While he expected this move to be the beginning of a restructuring of the trade relationship between Washington and Baghdad, he called for swift action in 3 directions following this decision. The impact of this decision on the Iraqi domestic economy will be complex. On the one hand, the few Iraqi exporters who export their products to the US market will be harmed, even if the total quantities are limited. However, the most dangerous message here is that Iraq does not yet have a diverse or strong export base that allows it to negotiate or maneuver local production that can compete in foreign markets is still minimal, and Iraqi exports still rely on oil for more than 90% of the country's exports. This means that any restrictions on non-oil exports, even if they are imposed by one party, reveal the weakness of the entire economic structure. On the international level, al-Saudi pointed out that the decision affects Iraq's reputation in international markets, as the imposition of such fees is not only for purely commercial reasons, but is usually linked to political considerations or US assessments of Iraq's commitment to trade standards, its regional role, or even its position on US sanctions against parties such as Iran or Russia. He added, in other words, this step could be the beginning of a broader tightening or redrawing of the trade relationship between Washington and Baghdad within a broader political framework. Hence, the repercussions of the decision could extend to Iraq's relations with other partners, both in the West and in the region. Accordingly, al-Saudi believes that Iraq needs to take swift action in 3 directions. First, through a direct diplomatic channel with Washington, to clarify the negative impacts of the decision and work to either exempt certain goods, reduce the percentage, or postpone implementation. The second approach, according to al-Saudi, is through diversifying trade partnerships and expanding the export base to alternative markets, such as China, India, Turkey, and even the Gulf states. He explained that this step requires reforming industrial policies and direct support for local products to qualify for export. The third approach is through building a clear national trade policy based on protecting Iraq's economic interests, working to reduce dependence on any international party, and activating bilateral and regional trade agreements, especially since Iraq currently suffers from the absence of an effective trade policy that reflects its interests in foreign negotiations. Iran just put a $40 million bounty on President Trump's head. That's not diplomatic tension. That's not regional instability. That's an act of war. This terrorist regime is openly calling on every sleeper cell in the West to murder a sitting US president. They aren't hiding it. They are proud of it. Enough games. Enough statements. Enough weak-kneed warnings. This requires the immediate decapitation of the entire Iranian leadership, every single one of them. The Ayatollah, the IRGC brass, the clerics issuing fatwas on Americans, and the terror financiers behind this bounty. Gone. That's the only language terrorists understand. America has sat on its hands for decades while these monsters fund terror, kill our troops, and chant death to America from their parliament floor. Now they are putting out open contracts on our president. Not one more threat. Not one more American life at risk. It's time to take out the trash permanently. If you want peace, you must be willing to eliminate those who make war on us. The price for putting a bounty on an American president's head should be the total annihilation of those who signed off on it. Peace through strength. Strength through decisive action.